if you can't solve problems every single day, being in business or being an entrepreneur straight up isn't for you, and that's okay. But it is a requirement and an expectation of business that things go wrong. And the bigger your business gets, the more systems and people you have in place to help you solve those problems and also just do the day-to-day business tasks. What happens then is you're filtered the worst problems that no one else can deal with. And so the frequency on average might go down, but how big the problems get bigger and bigger. And so if you can't handle those, it's just not a smart idea for you to start a business. So what's got me thinking about this today is yesterday or the day before, I got a message from a friend. He was just checking out my website, and he was like, "Oh, you've got a 404 error." I was like, "That's weird." So then I log on and I have a look, and it's worse than that. On our website, which is meant to be maths tutoring in the UK, there was like an Indonesian translated what looked like an Amazon page for the picture of an anime character. What? On Maths Tutors Online, the website I own. We own the DNS. How does that happen? So anyway, long story short, I had to go figure that out, and I was like, oh crap, what's happened? Did it not auto-renew the purchase that I'd made? Has someone hacked us? Has someone redirected it to their website? What's going on? And then essentially I went digging and ended up becoming a web developer to try to figure out the solution. And so if that's not within the ability, you got to do it, right? So I'll just walk you through the process that I took to be able to get there. So I was talking with Millie about it, being like, hey, situation. She was like, oh, funnily, coincident, I had a message from GitHub saying that our GitHub subscription for the last 2 years, which we've had free, has now come to an end. And the reason that's relevant is because I host our website for free on my GitHub repository, and then I just redirect the URL to that image, to that web page that's hosted by GitHub. So they have free hosting on GitHub pages. And I had coded that from scratch without any paying. So we don't pay anyone for our website, which is quite unique. It does cause limitations, but there we go. And what had happened is, after the end of my renewal, my GitHub pages, the one that we were having it redirect to was a private repository. And you can only host or show on your GitHub pages a public repository. So I found that out and was like, okay, I'll just make it public. Not as easy as you think, of course. Couldn't find it. Ended up asking ChatGPT, being like, hey, this is the situation, I think this is the problem. And it's like, yeah, cool, so here's where to go. So I went there, found it, turned it into a public one. I was like, cool, all done. And then it didn't fix. So we're like, okay, what's next? So then, after spending some time with ChatGPT, honestly, godsend, before this I'd used Google, right? Same thing, but just faster. I then just asked, right, what's happening? I own the DNS still, I've checked on our domain, we still own it. It's sort of still pointing there, what's going wrong? And it's saying, okay, check under your pages, is it listed here that repository is pointing to that domain? And I was like, oh, for some reason that's gone. Okay, and it's like, cool, just add it there. So I added it there. Then an error comes up saying, hey, someone else is using this. And I'm like, I know. And it's like, someone else is using this, so you can't use it now. So I'm like, interesting, because I own it. So then I type into the error message into GPT, give it to that, and be like, what's going on here? Because I own it. And it's like, oh, okay, so as you own it, there should be a quick fix. Might take a day. Go here. You need to put in this piece of text into the back end of your DNS of where you own the web page, and then click verify, and it'll do it. So I followed the instructions, and I found these instructions on GitHub, followed those instructions, pressed verify, and it didn't work. I was like, okay, I followed everything it said step by step, and it's still not working. So then took a screenshot, gave it to GPT, and then it said, so it looks like you've added in what they will automatically append. So remove that bit and it should work. So I removed it, clicked verify, boom, it worked, redirected back to our normal website, we got it sorted. So it's a really, really long process to solve something that shouldn't become a problem, but these things happen every single day. And what's interesting is, who would you have paid to solve that problem? Probably, if you had a tech guy in your company that's earning, minimum wage, let's say, or like he's just classic minimum expectation tech guy, he would be like, oh, don't know, said it's not verified, so I did what it followed the instructions, it didn't work, sorry. And that's it, and they'd leave it there, and then your website would be down. But to have someone in your company who's willing to take responsibility for the difference between I tried my best and I did what was required, two different things. Really, I think you're going to have to pay someone 6 figures to solve something so simple or so small that has such a large impact. And those are the sorts of problems we solve on the daily. So yeah, that was a funny one that came up. I was a bit like, oh God, this could be a problem, but we fixed it. And it's just so much of that comes up. I've got a boatload of stories about it. A very fun one from the Chocolate Factory about Royal Mail. We had to pay them exclusively with credit. You weren't allowed to pay them ahead of time. So you weren't allowed to say, hey, I'm going to send out 1,000 parcels today, here's the money for it. Wouldn't let you do it. You had to pay by credit. And then because of that, they have to take a deposit of like 3 times what your credit limit is or something like that. And the rate at which we grew, they needed from us like £300,000 of credit for them to send parcels for us. And we're like, I don't have that. Can I just pay you? Because I have the money before I send them out. Can I just pay you for each one as I pay it? And they're like, nope. So that's a problem for another day. But these, like, you get some really big ones like that. Then you get some small ones like this that take time and that you don't expect and you don't factor into your costs. But a little fun story for you there. And now hopefully no one's going to go and hack it. I don't know if you can hack that now that I verified that it is mine again. But there you go, fun one. Have a great day, guys. Let's just break down problems, all right? So the easiest way to solve problems is what could have caused it, where does it physically is held, where do you start from, what's the baseline thing you've got, and build up from there. It's called first principles thinking from physics. That's the biggest thing I learned from my degree. There you go, guys. Have a great one. Peace.